Veterans League, viva! Viva! Viva the wisdom of our Veterans League, viva! Viva! Viva the undying spirit of our combatants, Umkhondo Wesizwe, viva! Viva! Viva Umkhondo Wesizwe, viva! Viva! Viva our CDWs, viva! Viva! Viva our councillors, our deployees, viva! Viva! Viva our churches, our traditional healers, viva! Viva! Amanda! Amanda! Viva Maseba African National Congress, viva! Viva! I hope I've observed all protocols and I'm everybody. Ndibalibeleyo bazawuxolela, it's not andiyenzanga ngaboni. Without here all protocol observed. Thank you very much, Comrade Secretary. Let me send a word of gratitude to the provincial leadership that is here and recognize them, the PEC members who are here. Once again, let me recognize the regional leadership of Ehlanzeni, as led by Comrade Rai. All the officials are here, or many of them are here. Let me recognize the leadership of the ANC Women's League, the leadership of the ANC Youth League, MKMVA, our CDWs, the councillors, traditional leaders and leaders, our leaders from the churches, and let me recognize everybody. Ndiyalibulisa ngegama elimnamandla lenkosi yethu uYesu Yesu Kristu, amen. Amen. Masilapha ke sithi siyalibulisa ngegama elikhulu lemfazwe yethu yomzabalazo sithi amen. Yeah. Comrades, without much ado, we are embarking on a program. Ndizawuzama ukuhlanganisa isilungu nesintu, ngumXhosa soyiswathi samasiko but sisimboli ngizawundiva. Oh, aniva? Oh, nandiva ngoku. Yeah, ke tla kopanya dipuo tsa rona tsa maAfrika ke tsela tse re hotseng ka tsona. Yeah. Ngaphandle kokuthi mhlawumbe ndithethe into ezininzi mandiqale ke ngokuthi the program esikuyo, the program that we are embarking upon is a program. I hope I'll have your attention. It's a program that is intended to inspire us to face another battle ahead. The battle of elections. Now, most of the time when we are faced with this kind of program, some people try to divert us ngokuthi thina sisebenzela abantu bethu. Now, ayimangazi loo nto. It is not surprising that others will try to find fault in whatever we do. But the people of South Africa, every time we come to them, they know the relationship between the African National Congress and the people themselves. They know their home. They know the organization that carries their hopes, their aspirations. They are not easily betrayed or diverted from the African National Congress. There's a reason why, or there are many reasons why, people from time to time bazawuza apha kukhongolose. There's a reason why for that. Among other reasons, it is because they understand the solid foundation of the ANC. That when the ANC was formed, what informed the African National Congress is the unity of our people. That is why the ANC is what it is today. Whatever place is here today is the quest for the unity of our people and for the ANC itself today. So unity, it's a nice word to say, but it is a word that requires a deeper understanding. One of the comrades, Harum Aziz, what unity is the state of political readiness to advance the national democratic revolution. In other words, mawufuna ukukhuluma ngeunity abantu babumbana ayonto nje uzoyithetha nje ngomlomo wakho. Ufanele ube apha psychologically, you are ready for something. And that thing is to liberate the ordinary people on the ground. And in the context of a democratic dispensation, ngokuba khona ngoku sikwi-democracy, ukuliberate abantu ngokusebenzela abantu wherever you are deployed as the ANC member, as the ANC deployee. When people look at you, njengoba ucomrade bechaza apha, asizoza nje si-stress abantu nge-problems. Ours is to provide those solutions. So xa sithetha okanye sikhuluma nge-unity, we expect every member of the ANC to work towards advancing the national democratic revolution, bringing about fundamental change ebantwini bethu okanye kuluntu lonke, usizwe sonke. So that is a solid foundation upon which this movement has been formed. That is why today when we talk about the People's Assembly, we tap into that wisdom, into that fountain of wisdom of 1912. That's why even traditional leaders, we recognize them because they were there when the African National Congress was formed. We had the lower house and the upper house. The traditional leadership was represented. That is why today, when we are facing many of our struggles today, we tap into that wisdom. It is not something new. It is the wisdom that has always been the solid foundation of the ANC. At the founding moment of the ANC, so that is our foundation. We must never forget it. The African National Congress, people love it for that, because that we tap into the wisdom of unifying yokuhlanganisa isizwe sonke. That is very, very profound. So Masilana said, this is a people's assembly. We always want solutions to unite our people. We want to give mandate to our leadership to ensure that it serves in the best interest of our people. So we are not going very far. We tap into the wisdom. It is here in the ANC. Comrades, City, abantu bakholelwa ku-African National Congress, we tap into a very deep wisdom of the likes of Reverend Mahabane, Ogumede, or Pixel Gaisaka said, or Dr. Kuma. one of our leaders who made sure the ANC become what it is today. The challenges that are faced by the ANC today are not new. They've always been there. In the 30s, the African National Congress was dying. What did the ANC do? It brought back Reverend Mahabane to embark on a jubilee, to revive, to renew the African National Congress. Reverend Palaj. From the mid-1930s up until 1940, when Dr. Kuma took over. So, the challenges, we must not say this is something very new. The ANC is dying. In fact, the ANC in the 30s, when the ANC faced serious problems, it had close to 350 members. As a national organization, it was really dying. So now the ANC is dying today. Let's check the numbers. The statistics don't give you that. They don't show that. We have been here before, under very difficult moments, but under the stewardship of Mahabane, we revived the ANC. In 1940, Dr. Kuma comes in and becomes the president of the ANC. 1942, a decision to recruit more than 1 million members was taken. So now Sifuna 1 million members, it's not about a Polokwane. We're not dreaming. We are always tapping into the wisdom of our forefathers. Sinazo iznyanya, sinalo idlozi lethu nathi. So we're tapping into that wisdom. That is why when the ANC took that decision in 1942 to have 1 million members, in 1952 the ANC started embarking on a defiance campaign. You know, comrades, before the defiance campaign started, the African National Congress had 7,000 members. But at the end of the defiance campaign in 1953, the ANC for the first time started registering 100,000 members. We saw the membership of the ANC growing out of a program of action, not out of a conference. So when we talk unity of our people, we want an ANC that is growing, but an ANC that grows out of a program of action, not that grows out of buying members. So the ANC has always been steadfast on uniting the people, has always been steadfast on ensuring that our people, it becomes the hope of our people. It is in that context that the Freedom Charter was conceived. It is in that context that the armed struggle was conceived. And when the armed struggle was conceived, comrades, it was never easy again for the ANC. It was almost obliterated. Hence, Oliver Tambo had to rise to the occasion and grow the ANC under very difficult circumstances. So when we say we are calling the People's Assembly, we are tapping also into the wisdom of Oliver Tambo, who saw the difficulties. Wabona inkinga zonke ze ANC, but he remained solid. He remained part of a generation, a collective that has always been solid to represent the aspirations of our people. So this People's Assembly, it's not a People's Assembly because we are in a meeting. It is a People's Assembly that is tapping into the wisdom, the fountain, the wisdom of the African National Congress. So it becomes a historical moment to be part and parcel of the People's Assembly. You see the generation of Oliver Tambo and Nelson Mandela in prison in Robben Island had many challenges. If you go through the books of the ANC, you find in Robben Island there was what we call the high organ. In that high organ, Mandela was one of them. Ahmed Kafraga, Walter Sisulu, Govan Mbeki, Raymond Mhlaba and others. But a problem erupted there. Divisions came out because our stalwart Govan Mbeki said, Mandela, who said you are my leader? Who elected? Because Mandela became the leader of that high organ. Govan Mbeki was contesting that. They are in prison in Robben Island. And some of those who were there, they are hearing about these divisions. Now, under those difficult conditions of prison, the High Organ in 1974 leaks a letter to Oliver Tambo to say, we had these problems. And these problems were such that we're also not speaking to one another. The tensions between the High Organ, Yaka Mandela, the members of the High Organ, Mandela and Sisulu this side, Govani Mbeki, Raymond Mhlaba this side, at some stage they were not on speaking terms. This is them writing a letter to Lusaka. Then they said, then we found a solution because the leadership of Madiba was contested. They decided that, okay, let's undertake elections. In these difficult moments, we find the African National Congress unashamedly undertaking a democratic process. They inform Oliver Tambo that we did undertake an election process and finally Madiba was elected the leader of the High Organ. So we must not fear elections. The African National Congress has always been faced with the process of electing its leaders under environments that are unpalatable. And you know, a prison, if you have been to prison, you know, sometimes where people say, no, hey man, I was in detention, they have not felt it. Everything is controlled. You are even controlled. Uvuka Klashabani, Ulala Klashabani, and all that. But the ANC leadership undertook a democratic process. We are about to face the same democratic process as Sibasabi. We are tapping into the fountain of wisdom of our forefathers. So, when we face elections, even if it is tough, we must walk boldly. We must swim against that tide of opposition. Because the High Organ, the generation of Oliver Tambo, Mandela, Sisulu, and Mbeki taught us, gave us something that can never be eroded or erased. Any other party are afraid. No, our forefathers were never afraid. We must always tap into that wisdom. We must tap into the wisdom of Solomon Mahlangu. He said, Mama, tell my people that I love them. And my blood will nourish and water the tree of liberty. Who can say that? Who is facing the guillotine? And we must not just say, no, Solomon Mahlangu was saying, we must understand what he was facing. There are stories about people who are facing death penalty, who are about to be killed. They know that there is no tomorrow for them. They know that they need some favors. Solomon Mahlangu, when he's faced with that situation, he said, my blood will grow the tree of liberty. And today we're liberated. So we're about to tap into the wisdom of Solomon Kalushi Mahlangu. And we must never be coward in those circumstances. So the People's Assembly must become something that says, this is what we want our leaders to do. But we are going to work very hard to ensure that this leadership, when they get their mandate, they must boldly ensure that they adopt, they implement that particular mandate. Because Solomon Kalushi Mahlangu has already watered the tree of liberty. If we don't do that, we are actually undermining that legacy. We are actually undermining that wisdom. Comrades, we are tapping into the wisdom of young lions of the 80s. Young people who sacrificed it all. Who, when hippos were facing them, when the police, the system was buying askaris within the ranks of Umkhondo Wesizwe, and in the ranks of the SDUs, in the ranks of the liberation movement in general. But young people stood and passed that particular test. We're tapping into that wisdom. We're tapping into their energy, the energy of Peter Mokaba, the energy of those who led at the founding moments of COSAS and beyond. Young people who faced banishment, bannings from time to time. We're tapping into that, comrades. Because we're a liberation movement, we're an organization that has a solid foundation. So whatever we do, we must know by now. Siphetho igandaganda i-African National Congress. Singasali, singoyika, singomakwa. So what happened to that wisdom? What happened to the wisdom of 1990s? A wisdom when situation, the system, the last kicks off a dying horse. You know, the system was running amok after the unbanning, killing people all over. Whether it's Bipatong and anywhere else in the country, we all know that. We're tapping into that wisdom. And part of that wisdom saw the South African Youth Congress coming to Elijah Mango here to say we are now free. How do we chart a way forward? So the history of this place, the heroes of this province, must never be undermined. We must tap into that wisdom. Because we are the African National Congress that should remain inspired, not only by our history, but by what we are doing today also. What we have achieved as South Africa in the democratic dispensation. We must tap into that wisdom. We have done so much for our people, and we must not shy away. When electricity was meant for only the middle class, the rich in our township, the ANC made sure that when it gets into power, electricity becomes a right and everybody must get it. When many had no taps of running water, the ANC came and ensured that many get those facilities. When many felt the indignity of very poor toilets and so on, the African National Congress, when it got into power, it made sure that at least some dignity is preserved. So we must not shy away that we have worked so hard. People had no houses, we have achieved those things. But we know, because we are a learning organization, that must be an inspiration for us. We know that along the way, there have been pitfalls. We know that along the way, we've had problematic people. We know that along this development that we're talking about, we have done a number of mistakes. An organization that is learning is not shy to face its own demons and deal with them. So we must not be too defensive even where we are wrong. That is the point that I'm trying to say, comrades. We must be able to say, this is what we want. You know, we must be able to say, there is corruption in our ranks. That's what President says. That is why when we went to Polokwane, Mangaung, and Nazareth, we have always come up with resolutions, decisions that seek to combat, you know, corruptions or mishaps in general within our ranks. So part of the problem has been we were afraid to implement. Nazareth has said, let us implement, let us be decisive to deal with corruption, to deal with an ANC that seeks to move away from its own ideology, an ANC, you know, that seeks to undermine itself, an ANC that seems to appreciate foreign tendencies. That's what Nazareth has said. So, we will deal with those. Those are challenges, and they confront every kind of an organization. And an organization like the ANC is not afraid to face them. You see, comrades, we went to Nazareth, a battered organization. The signs of poor leadership were there. The signs that the center was no longer holding were there. And now the center must hold. But sometimes when you talk about this center, people always think, no, it is the leadership at the national. In the African National Congress, we always consider Amandla, Ase Masebe, Igaka. The people, when we say Amandla, Ase Masebe, we're talking about the people. Besiqala sometimes siba namasele amagatya ndikhuluma kahle ngithi siba namagatya asaba decisive in what they want. Bafuna uva leadership ithini. Your leadership. You are the ones who are putting these leaders behind this table. The members of the ANC. So when we say the center must hold, we mean it starts with the branch of the African National Congress. And when we say the branch of the ANC, we want at a branch level, we want a leadership that knows what is happening next door, on a door-to-door. You can't be a branch chairperson and not know that zikhona inkedama. You can't be a leader of the ANC and then your word is final. You can't be a leader of the ANC. You know, you can't sacrifice for your own people. A branch of the ANC must serve its people with due diligence, with honesty, with commitment, with greatest aspect of sacrifice. So we don't want a branch that says no, complains about other leaders. And when we look at it, we find that it is its worst. Of course, in the African National Congress, there is what we call democratic centralism. Once the highest structure is spoken, you follow, you complain later.
You comply and complain.
You follow, you complain later. Then you complain. But you engage. The view of the majority must prevail, but don't be a gangster. You know what gangster does? You become a BEC. You gang against a dissenting view before you go into a meeting. In that meeting, you don't want an engagement. But you know you are ganging. That is not democratic centralism. You are manipulating a democratic process. In the African National Congress, we engage. We listen, we engage, and finally, we agree. If your view has not been supported, daughter, so to know, I didn't agree though, no. You must communicate the decision and support it. Once we can get the branch right, we'll get other structures of the movement right. Now, at this People's Assembly, we must know the levels of unemployment and what are we going to do with unemployment. South Africa is very young. It's a young country. It has many young people. And these people are the lifeblood of the ANC. These young people are the ones where the ANC taps its energy. These young people are prepared to shape their own future. Remember, when you are a young leader, you must know nobody's going to determine your future. It is you. The older ones, they will guide you. So if you are not well anchored on the politics of the ANC, so this thing of young leadership and so on, it must not be a narrative that seeks to sideline and marginalize our older generations. In fact, it is one that must inspire them to be closer. Because we have been there before. You may have been born in 1996, but remember there are people who were born in 1950, they've been there before. They can guide you. Then you'll become a good leader. So we're at the People's Assembly comrades. We're inspired by the energy of young people. And we must make sure young people develop an agenda, that can ensure that many young people are attracted once more, are brought into the ranks of the African National Congress. Our older generation, our parents, they are very loyal. They are not dubious. They don't hesitate. They know where they stand. And we must serve them well. A nation that does not care, that does not take care of its elders, it's a dying nation. Even a nation that doesn't care of its youth has no future. So siyadingana, we must coexist. We must not see the older generation as just monuments of history. No, they are also the wisdom of the future. Young people are the future, but the wisdom of that future is in the older generation. And the African National Congress was a funda every day. You learn about it day in, day out. We continue to learn. So young people are faced with high levels of unemployment. We must do something about it. So I don't want to preempt you. The point I'm trying to make is that you must understand your situation and you must be able to say, African National Congress, as you go to this battle of elections, these are things. There is nothing wrong. These are things that we are not happy with. We are Kazeno. You still go out and complain. You still go on media and complain. On media, you still go elsewhere and complain. America, CIA, so when you have raised issues and the ANC has said, we believe in what we say, we're going to deal with, because I always say we as the African National Congress, we don't make promises, we make commitments. We are committed to it. Because we tap into a wisdom. We're inspired by that. So when we say this thing will get it right one day, we mean it. The opposition is in tatters. We must take the advantage of that. But we must not undermine the opposition. Like Comrade Ndrai is saying, no, there are these commissions now, and what is coming out of those commissions? You know, they are projecting the African National Congress very negatively. They are our decisions. They are our decisions. Part of these commissions is that even if the opposition likes to take advantage of what we are doing, but we know better that we are sincere, we are genuine. Once the outcomes are, the president has said so, President Cyril Ramaphosa has said so, that we'll act on them. And bit by bit, we are acting. But we must master to give performance in a context of a dark cloud. Like Dalushi Mahlangu, he mastered how to send a proper message in the context of facing death. Like Oliver Tambo, he mastered how to build the African National Congress when the ANC was banned. You see, so many leaders, even Omar Habane, they managed to grow the African National Congress in the context of a dying ANC. So we must tap into that wisdom. And today, we know for a fact that we're facing many challenges as an organization. We marginalize one another, we fight one another, but in that context, we must master how to serve our people and build the ANC. The ANC, the opposition thinks it has a weapon to kill the African National Congress. It doesn't have it. And it is only you, Emasebe, who can make sure that the African National Congress renews itself. You know, we're not saying a new ANC, like a new national party. We're saying we're renewing ourselves. The concept of renewal is also an admission that something is outdated, we must work on it. We need to renew. This is us admitting our own limitations and shortcomings. But at the same time, it is us saying we want to shape the future. You know, the Freedom Charter remains our lodestar. Our Freedom Charter remains our vision. The Freedom Charter remains our inspiration to serve our people. So in that context, we'll be able to defeat the opposition. We have defeated them before, and together with their ancestors, we'll defeat them again. But we need hard work. When we say the center must hold, we must go on the ground. Let's talk to our people. At some stage, I was in Mpu. I was happy to see when we were closing those potholes and so on, the taxi drivers were passing around and said, this is what we want. They gave us money to have food, to eat. They said, We must be at the African National Congress that is at work. The African National Congress that is at work to serve the people. Thank you very much, comrades. Amanda! I hope we will get it right. Eyesumbuto wetu, eyesumbuto wetu, sizobaxelela ukutamanda, eyesumbuto wetu, eyesumbuto wetu, sizobaxelela Viva! Viva 100 years of Albertina Sisulu! Viva! Viva!
Amanda! Awethu! Thank you very much, comrade. Thank you very